midfield rips it away. The give and go. Cowan obliging.
It's a good mark in the air taken by Alex Rance.
Love that one off the boot. Buddy is back.
Hello and welcome to the Draftstars show. I'm Shura and joining me today, my partner in crime, 300 games of AFL football, Kane Corns, in what's been an absolutely huge week of football.
Oh, it's been massive. It's that time of year, isn't it? North Melbourne dropped a bombshell. Pav's last game, Jay Schultz has been moved on by
the Jager bomb. He's dropped the bomb too.
He's gone. He wants out of the Gold Coast Suns. So we're going to tell you how that's going to affect your Draftstars side this week.
It's probably the most interesting time of year, but we're here for the Draftstars. This is the game you want to play, and if you want to play it, you've got to get to the website, draftstars.com.au. This is how the game works, of course. You make a team of 9 players, Kane, and you're trying to get as many points as you can.
2 defenders, 2 forwards, 4 midfielders and a ruckman, and score the best that you possibly can. And that's how you do it. Kick 3, mark, handball, you can see all the scores there. The only one that you get a negative is for a free kick against. So we love disciplined players.
We like players who toe the line, put it that way. As I said, the webpage is draftstars.com.au. You head to the lobby, and that is where all the games are. You've got your Saturday contests, your Sundays, your turbos, your single games. There's so many games you can play, Kane.
Yeah, we're going to look at 5 of those today. There's a huge game tonight, the Friday night contest, which we'll look at in a minute. But so many games to choose from, so much variety, and that's why we love Draftstars.
Well, we've always said you don't have to, you don't have to lock yourself in for the whole year. You can come in and out, but you can play each day a different game. So it's the benefit of Draftstars in that sense. But we want to start it off with you and tonight's game. It's a big one.
It is a huge one, and let's do that. Let's go to the Adelaide Oval where the Crows take on West Coast. Crows after that top 2 position on the ladder and secure a home final. West Coast also, they need to finish 5th or 6th to get a home final. We've loaded our side up with Crows players. We think over the last month they've been exceptionally good. They've averaged 90 more uncontested disposals than their opposition, so that's why we've got so many Crows players in. One man who was great last week, the Showdown medalist, 33 disposals, 10 more than any of his other teammates. We think he's great value at $12,850. In the last 5 weeks, he's scored 105 Draftstars points. He's been on fire. Scott Lycett's in for a big contest because his star ruckman and his partner in crime, Nick Natanui, is not going to be there. And when Nick Nat doesn't play, Scott Lycett scores, on average, 90 Draftstars points. He's up against a good opponent in Sam Jacobs, but lock Scott Lycett in with Nick Nat out.
Now, I noticed that you haven't got Elliot Yeo in your team. And I was watching the game last week.
Oh,
is there a reason for that?
Well, let's have a look as to one of the reasons why he's not in my side. This is our fantasy fail.
Yeah. Well, you'd think and Elliot Yeo is known to be a very good contested marker, am I right?
Well, look at this.
There you go, bang.
Some of he's not. And he plays on.
Here's 6 points. No,
it's not. What a disaster that was for Elliot Yeo. Now, he's not in my side. Let's take a closer look as to why that may be, because he loves playing at home, averages over 90 Draftstars points when he plays on his home deck. Away from home, not so much. So tread with caution around Elliot Yeo, just the 70 Draftstars points when he's away from Domain Stadium, where he will be tonight. So that's why I haven't selected him myself.
Are you saying he's a flat track bully?
Well, he's not alone. He's got a few of his teammates that love playing on the home deck.
And actually, can we just say this? I know I love that you sort of pumped up Matt Crouch there, but you potentially came out and made a comment about last week's Showdown medalist.
I did. I thought Ollie Wines should have been the Showdown medalist.
Fair call.
I think so.
He had a great game.
He did. They gave it to the winner, but I'm not sure the judges got it spot on. I thought Ollie Wines was the best player on the ground.
I like when you stand up for yourself, mate. It's very good, especially on social media.
What do you got for me? The big one,
yes.
The 20K Saturday Shootout.
Now, this is the one, the Saturday Shootout. We all know that the Saturday game is just the games that are on Saturday. There's 5 of them, and of course you want to start looking at what's happening in these games, who's playing for what. You've got some finals games. Sadly, the Cats versus Demons is not going to be a finals game for the Demons there, but the Swans versus Tigers, huge for the Swans, and they finish off well. So this is the team that we've picked for our Saturday contest. It may be different from yours, that's okay. We've obviously loaded up there on a few Cats players. They're playing down at the Cattery. We know how much they love playing down there, and of course they're also playing for a finals position. And we're going to focus in on a couple of players here. In particular, this man who might be taking home a little Chaz Brownlow at the end of the year. We don't know, but he's had an awesome year in probably the best side this year in Sydney. Luke Parker, lock him into your side. If you're willing to spend $16,200, he's going to get you over 100 easily. He's it's an absolute machine when it comes to finding the ball. So we love Luke Parker. He's been locked into our side. Our next player is Scott Selwood. Good value. He finally got a game. He took a whole year to come in. He's come in. He started very slowly, but his last 2 games, he's averaged 94.5. So we think he's pretty good value at 9,400, and he's going to want to cement his spot in the side come final. So I reckon he's one to watch. Now, this man, just potentially sit off him a bit. He's been a bit cold the last few weeks, struggling a bit, 13,400 as well. It might be a bit too much for a man who's only averaging 84.5 at the moment. So I don't know about Brad E, but I'd be approaching with caution, Kane.
Oh, well, give him a bit of a chop out. He came off twice with the blood rule last week. Now, don't get me started on the Rory Sloane suspension for hitting Brad E, but that was a joke. But maybe the reason he's not scoring so well is because he's been off the ground with that blood rule.
I don't know about that. From the Port point of view, it looked like Brad actually headbutted Rory's fist. So, to be honest with you, it's a different one. Anyway, I'd be staying away from that. Here's our Supreme Draft Stars team. We do it every week. We look at what you could have scored if you had the ultimate team of players on the park, and there's some big scores out there, Kane.
Lachie Neale's been enormous all year. 169. That puts him right at the top. And
your man, Keegan Brooksby.
Well, Keegan Brooksby, whoever selected him's a genius.
I'm pretty sure the bloke who won the contest last week had him in there. So there you go. Smith there from Collingwood, 131. But there's a man standing in the middle.
Well, should we tell Brad Scott that Boomer Harvey scored 140 Draft Stars
140 points
last
there
week
for
and
Boomer
he's been
Harvey.
given the sack.
Oh, just quietly 169 as well for Lachie Neale. That's not a bad effort. But there you go. That would be the ultimate team last week. Had you picked that, you would have got yourself a handy 1,138 points. But this is the actual contest winners, and Killer Elite there yet again keeps making our list. And I tell you, he did have Keegan Brooksby in his side.
Well, he knows something that we don't. He's been dominating every week. Killer Elite. Can someone knock him off this week? I want to see him knocked off. Now, that's
I was
the top.
somewhere down about
here. That's the top. I came in just at 11th, so I'm just off that
I must have been
screen.
equal 11th too. So there you go. Great prizes for those winners as well. It's worth being in the Saturday contest. That's the big one.
Let's see if someone can knock off Killer Elite this week.
Now, we know you played 300 games of football and you like to just think about how it used to be back in the day, but we like to look at the other players who also had some big days back in the day.
Sentimental value this week. Dane Swan announced his retirement. He was a Draft Stars Hall of Famer. He will be. Straight to the Hall of Fame. Let's have a look at this day back in 2012. 42 disposals.
Round 23 too, so it actually was this round.
187 Draft Stars points. Now, you've been doing some research.
Yes.
30 disposals or more. Where does he rank all time in the AFL?
Thanks for bringing up my research there. Yes, he ranks 3rd all time. We've got Robert Harvey, number 1. We've got Sam Mitchell, currently still playing, and he could potentially catch Harvey. And then we've got Dane Swan, who's an absolute contested machine. By the way, in doing my research, I also found the player with the most 25 uncontested disposals or more in a game of AFL ever, Kane Corns.
Thanks for putting that on the record. Uncontested possessions. I'm not sure I wanted that on the public record, but
there you go.
It's out there for all to see
stats for
now.
you. Let's press on with the Saturday night 5K contest, and you're having a look at that.
Let's do that. This will be another huge one. 2 sides that play some pretty attractive footy on Etihad Stadium. There's a side that we've selected. Jonathan Patton kicked the 6 goals last week at 8,550. We think he is really good value, but one man who's been very good to us all year is Toby Green. He's a forward. He's a high possession forward, but he also kicks goals. 93.5 average this season. He's in our side, as he has been most weeks this year. We really enjoy what he's done for our Draft Stars this year. Ryan Griffin has played 113 games on Etihad Stadium. In that time, he's averaged 22 disposals and 4 tackles on that ground. So we think he's a pick to play this week. We think he's really good value on that ground at 12,800. He's in our side. We expect him to have a big day. Brent Harvey, massive announcement during the week. Now, he scored the 140 last week. I think it's the wrong call to sack him right now. The other 3, Petrie, Ferrito and Del Santo, yes, you could argue that was okay, but this man's in a league of his own. I thought he had the right to go out on his own terms. Wanted to play one more year, and I'm just not sure North Melbourne have got this decision spot on. Drew Petrie is the other one who we'll look at this week. 9,650. Can Big Drewy stand up? Hasn't been a great Draft Stars performer, but over 300th game this year, 2nd on North Melbourne's all-time games players. He's been a star.
No, I like that. Good honesty there from you, Kane, and it carries a lot of weight from a player like yourself to say that about Brent Harvey. I agree with you. Look at some of the other boys who also are wrapping up their careers this week. I think it's fair to say someone like Spud Ferrito got the most out of himself for his career. Started at Box Hill, went over to North Melbourne, and played over 200 games, and he's done everything he could. I wouldn't put him in your team because he hasn't got over a 69 this year and he's averaging about 45. But we say well done to him on an awesome career, and it's probably the right time for him to be wrapping things up. And the last man, I mean, to be honest with you, he was still playing some pretty good footy. He got 120 Draftstars points last week against Sydney. He's been one of the great inside players of the last 15 years. Nick Del Santo, star, over 300 games. At 12,950, he could still really be some good value too. A great career. Again, Kane, I think probably the right call on him. He might have wanted to go on again, but I think North need to refresh their list.
No doubt about that. I'm worried for North Melbourne. I think this could really set them back. Yes, they won the first 9 games this year, but I think they're going to fall right back to the pack next year. On the back of this announcement, I wouldn't expect them to play finals. Can I just say how classy the boys have been, the way they've handled it? Broomer Harvey's statement, if you get a chance to have a read, absolute class. So well done to the 4 players on the way they've handled it. We need to move on.
Yes, we
Draftstars,
do.
And you want to take a look at the 12.5k Sunday Shootout.
I am indeed a big Sunday of football. 3 games you might want to look at. Obviously, the Hawks trying to cement their spot in the top 4. Saints versus Lions doesn't mean much, but there'll be plenty of players playing for their lives this weekend. You might want to look at that when you make your team, because that could be the difference between scoring well and not. So this is the team we've made for our Sunday Shootout. And we've got some Hawks in there, obviously. They're playing for the finals. Bloke by the name of Jason Holmes, the homeboy. We got him in. He might be playing for his life as well. He's trying to cement his spot in the Saints lineup as a ruckman, so maybe get him in. Rupert Wills having a very good year for the Pies as well. But the lock for us this week is this man, Jeremy Howe. Probably the pickup, or one of the pickups of the year for Collingwood. He's been fantastic. Got his highest score last week, and over the last 3 weeks, averaging 99 Draftstars points, which is well above his 80. So at 12,000, good value for Jeremy Howe. Now, you love your stats. Here's another one for you. The last 5 round 23 games for Hawthorn, Grant Birchall has averaged the most disposals. So he lost the last game of the year for whatever reason. He's getting himself ready for finals. So he can be really good value at 12,000 as well, and might get you 100. You never know if he's playing well. This guy, Blake Acres, since round 19 has averaged 94 Draftstars points. That's huge above his points per game of 71. So he's having a massive back end of the year. He could be really good value. 10,150 Kane. That is good value, and he's a star of the future.
He's a star. He's on the rise. He's a star of Draftstars, a young up-and-comer. But how's some of your stats today?
To be honest with you, I don't sleep. I spend all my time looking up stats.
And that doesn't surprise me. You've blown me away today. Well done.
Workhorse.
Set the bar high, though. Next week, I want some more.
Oh, there'll be some more stats next week. Have you got some stats for us on the last contest, the single-game Sunday match contest?
I do, because one of my favourites is playing his last game. Matthew Pavlich pulls on the Fremantle jumper for the last time. What a star he has been, and you can see right there he's in our side. A lot of Western Bulldogs players, as you can imagine, because they've been very good Draftstar performers this year. The first man, though, is this gun, Matthew Pavlich. Been a really emotional week for the Pav. I've heard him speak. He said that he's given everything he has possibly had to give at AFL level, and it's hard to argue with that. Has he got one more last effort in him? We think he will. What a celebration for the Pav, an absolute superstar of the game. Our value selection for this week is Lin Jong. 96 last week he scored through the Western Bulldogs midfield, and we think he'll continue on that strong form. Considering the Bulldogs are the #1 disposal side in the competition, we think he'll have a big day. Jason Johannesson, 27 kicks last week for a score of 144. We love kicks at Draftstar, of course. That gives you the 3 points. So we think on the big ground at Domain Stadium, wide, expansive areas for him to run around across halfback. We think he's going to have another big day. But the Pav, his last game, emotional for everyone, no doubt.
And 799 goals. You went to school with him, I believe.
699 goals. Don't give him an extra 100
Sorry.
now. I just pumped you up on your stats.
I know, I've just ruined that. I've just ruined it.
Come on, get him.
You went to school with him?
I did. No, he was going to play the best junior footballer that I've ever played with. The size that he is now, he was that size in year 10, and it was no wonder why he dominated the game at schoolboy level. But I always knew he was going to be good. I probably didn't know he was going to be this good.
And probably one of the most well-liked players as well. Like, you never hear a bad word about him, do you?
Plays the game fair, plays it, he's a tough player, but plays fair, very clean, well-respected by all in the competition.
Would have loved to see him pull on a premiership medallion. Unfortunately, it would have been the Hawks losing it in 2013. So unfortunately, I can't wish that for him. I want to give us a pat on the back as well, because last week we said pick Lin Jong because of the forward pressure that the Bulldogs were going to have, and he had a big week. So hopefully you're listening to us out there. We are trying to give you some tips that might help you make a good side, even though we're not making good sides.
We won't tell you about the ones we got wrong, but that one we did get right.
Obviously, you won't only pat ourselves on the back when we get it right. Anyway, we've got to head off for another week. Don't forget, gamble responsibly. Good luck to you and your teams, Kane.
Good luck to you all. Great to join you.
See ya.